Senior. Collins to oppose Senior. Susan Collins, in a statement, the Republican from Maine, who faces re-election next year, voiced concerns regarding Matthew Kaczmarek's alarming bias against LGBTQ Americans and disregard for Supreme Court precedents. Mr. Kaczmarek has dismissed proponents of reproductive choice as sexual revolutionaries, and disdainfully criticized the legal foundations of Roe v. Wade, while Collins' opposition is unlikely to derail Kaczmarek's confirmation to be a district judge in the Northern District of Texas, it is notable given the intense backlash she faced from liberals after voting to confirm Supreme Court Justice Brett M. Kavanaugh last year. Kaczmarek, who serves as Deputy General Counsel to First Liberty Institute, which defends religious freedom issues, was first nominated for the lifetime appointment by Trump in 2017, and had to be renominated this year when the Senate failed to confirm him before the end of the last congressional session. The Senate Judiciary Committee approved Kaczmarek's nomination in January on a party-line vote, and Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky has scheduled though the attorney has publicly opposed several Supreme Court decisions. In his response to a Judiciary Committee questionnaire, he cited Supreme Court decisions as super precedent, or binding over all lower courts. He was specific. From 2008 to 2013, Kaczmarek served as Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas, a role in which he received an award for his service in the interests of national security. Matthew Kaczmarek's lifelong commitment to the rule of law is best exemplified by former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder awarding him the 2013 Attorney General's Award of Excellence in furthering the interests of U.S. national security. He will make an excellent. LGBT and women's rights groups are vehemently opposed to his nomination, describing him as an anti-LGBT activist and pointing to instances in which he defended discrimination against LGBT people, wrote disparagingly about other gay rights such as marriage, and called being transgender a mental disorder. His record reveals that he will be incapable of treating LGBT litigants fairly no matter what body of law is at issue in the cases over which he may preside because he does not acknowledge LGBT people as having a right to exist, wrote a coalition of 75 organizations Wednesday to Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham RSC. And ranking Democrat. 3 years ago, Kaczmarek defended the right of a shop owner to refuse to bake a cake for a gay couple's union in a high-profile case that pitted religious leaders against gay and lesbian activists. In a 2015 in the article, he noted that sexual revolutionaries had made the unborn child and marriage secondary to erotic desires of liberated adults. The Catechism holds that homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered, contrary to the natural law, and do not proceed from a genuine affective and sexual complementarity, he wrote. This view of human. He also signed on to a letter that called being transgender a delusion. More than 300 parents of transgender children have written a letter to senators opposing Kaczmarek's nomination. To me, that is not someone that can be impartial to millions of people in this country who are LGBTQ. That type of Collins, who is a top target for Democrats in 2020, supports same-sex marriage and reproductive rights. But she was criticized. At the time, Human Rights Campaign President Chad Griffin encouraged his members to vote out lawmakers who supported Kavanaugh, whose nomination was embroiled by sexual misconduct allegations. Throughout Trump's tenure, Republicans have made federal court appointments a top priority. As of Friday,
Raindrop,